who's going to be the breakout player for the Cowboys. Yard Barker has it as Tony Pollard.
All right.
And I feel like we've been on that Tony Pollard. Some people have been on that Tony Pollard watch for, 2 years now? And do you believe that this could be the breakout year for Tony Pollard? And if so, what does that look like? And double if so, did the Cowboys wait too long because it's the last year of his contract? And then you're like, okay, well, now you're good, so we have to pay you.
Can we define, before we do that, breakout year?
You define it for me.
Because he is maxed out at 719 yards.
And that was a jump this last year, right?
Right. Okay, so his first 2 years, 455 on 86 rushes.
Okay.
435 on 101 rushes.
Okay.
Which is 4.3, Kevin.
Ooh, that's not going to cut it.
719 on 130, which is 5.5.
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Like, that's good. Hey, that's efficient right there. He's had 8 touchdowns in his career. In 3 seasons, 8 touchdowns.
Okay.
Rushing. Now, he also last year, Kevin, he broke he almost broke it. He did break 1,000 yards from line of scrimmage because he had 337 receiving yards.
Okay.
And 0 touchdowns receiving.
So he had about all purpose 600, and then close to 1050.
562, 628, 1,056. That's where his numbers end up at there.
So that's a pretty
last
big
year
good
may have
jump.
been an idea of a breakout season for him because he broke 1,000 yards total.
So if he replicates that, then we wouldn't say this was Tony Pollard's year. You'd be like, hey, it was like last year, which I like.
Yeah, and you're probably sitting there looking at his usage and saying, did you use him enough? If he's that, his numbers were efficient last year.
Yeah.
Did you use him enough? Probably not.
Yeah.
To actually
definitely not.
Yeah, to take advantage of him. So I would say, Kevin, if I'm getting in the 140 touches, 140 rushing attempts, and I'm getting in the targets around 50 or 60. Let's say 65 targets in the passing game and 140 receptions. The numbers still will be low. 850, 900 yards, maybe. And then maybe he has 400 or 500 yards receiving. I would say that's a great season for him. But it's not going to be anything like the Ezekiel Elliott rookie season. It's not going to be anything like those.
Do you think 1,500?
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was at Dick's Sporting Goods the other day, and I didn't see any number 20 jerseys for sale.
That's a fact. You probably won't.
Hey, you look at me crazy. This matters to Jerry Jones.
No, I know.
21s are available for sale. He ain't starting, and he ain't getting the majority of the snaps. Sorry. He doesn't sell jerseys.
But what if Zeke gets hurt?
That's what you need.
You think that's the only way?
The Cowboys need Zeke to get hurt.
Okay.
For this to play out.
Okay.
And miss significant time and not it can't be just a last year PCL strain.
All right, so I want to take one quick step back to something that Sean said in the crosstalk and see if that impacts it all. He said he wonders. He didn't say definitively like the Cowboys have changed their philosophy, but he wonders if the Cowboys see where they were really at last year and they're like, man, maybe we do have to take a step back. Do you think there's any chance with that in mind, part of that step back means giving Pollard more of a role to see what he has? Because it might not be a step back. I don't know how that will play out.
I think one of the things that McCarthy can and should look at is Zeke our future, or is Zeke here and then probably we're looking at the finances of things and moving on?
Yeah.
Because if he's not the future, do you want to give Tony Pollard the opportunity to show whether he is or not? The problem after that, though, is because you didn't utilize him during his contract that was nothing. Well, now you're going to have to pay him if he goes out and he's good, right? So, what's the balance there? I think just go with the hot hand. You just go with whichever one fits.
Smart team would have a new running back in 2023.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you let both of them go.
Yeah, you just move on from
Unless Tony Pollard will sign for a 3-year, $12 million contract,
which I
with
would doubt.
$8 million guaranteed.
If he's going out,
I'm guaranteeing you 2 years, but I'm also making you a backup salaried running back or a shared salaried running back. If you can do that, hey man, Tony Pollard, you got this year and 3 more years with the Dallas Cowboys. Awesome. But I have a feeling that he's going to do well enough this year in his limited role that somebody's going to be willing to pay him about $6 to $8 million a year.
And the Cowboys shouldn't.
The Cowboys shouldn't, but they probably will. Because
historically, I get it. Yeah.
Right. The smart thing would be is in the somewhere, if it's the second round and a guy has fallen to you and you're just like, dude, this is a guy who can be great, then you take him. But somewhere in the third or fourth round, you should take a running back and go, you're our running back for the next 4 years. And then 3 to 4 years from now, we draft our next running back.
Question, and like, I get that philosophy and I am not averse to that whatsoever. Question, do you think an improved offensive line can and will up Tony Pollard's usage rate? Because one of the things that people who back Zeke, and I get it, is he's a better pass blocker. And you saw last year our offensive line had struggles. All right, so they've put some, I hope, resources, it appears, into the offensive line to potentially get better. If the offensive line is better, do you think they would have to de facto lean on Zeke less? Because you're like, hey, we almost need an extra offensive lineman in there. And you know Schultz isn't usually known for that.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I would argue against he's a better pass blocker is that Tony Pollard is a better pass receiver. So why not utilize him in those options instead of trying to hold a guy back there to block? Now, I understand if your offensive line can't do anything, then you have a problem. But that should be shorter passes to Schultz and Pollard that allow you to get yards. He can create space. Like, he can create space for everybody if you draw those plays up, if you come up with those designs that get him involved in it, rather than saying, well, we have to have him back there to block. I don't know that your offensive line is going to be better this year, but your offensive line is going to, it'll be more consistent, or it should at least. Now,
what do you do about this? Zeke has the Jason Witten respect.
Yes.
He does not come off the field unless he wants to. That's a fact for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, he does tap his helmet. I mean, there are series where he has off. So I'm not saying he doesn't sit out to give Tony Pollard opportunities. What do you do about that if you're the coach? Do you have the respect of the Jones family to go into the room and say, I'm switching Tony Pollard and Zeke's usage. I'm now going to use Pollard as my main guy and Zeke as the guy to let him not get overworked.
Of all of the narratives,
you better win.
Yeah. Of all of the narratives around the Cowboys, I think a lot of them are fair. There are some that are not. I think this is one that I believe in.
That move could lose the locker room. It could win it. It's a very Tony Romo, Dak kind of move, right? Where you're like, we're just going to go with this guy because he gives us the best chance to win, not the fact that he has seniority.
And
here.
They lost some, but gained some, to your point.
For sure.
And I wonder about it from McCarthy's standpoint with the Joneses.
This is my last run. I'm doing it my way.
And I wonder if Jerry walks in there, and you hate to say this, but Lord knows it feels like we've kind of seen this play out, is why did you take Zeke out of the game? Well, because we thought Pollard would give us a better chance to win, but you lost. To your point, you better win, and Tony Pollard better, I hate to say this, but Tony Pollard better play a major part in that win as well, because if he doesn't, then it's going to be like, hey, I wonder. I don't know this for a fact, but I wonder if it's going to be like, hey, you need to put Zeke in the game.
When Zeke's not getting the ball enough and everybody starts griping about it, you don't think that Jerry walks in there and goes, hey, why isn't Zeke getting the ball more? I keep getting this question every week whenever I talk to Sean and RJ in the mornings. I get this question every week on Fridays when I talk to KNC. Why wasn't Zeke utilized more in this run game? What's going on with Zeke? Get him in there. Show him off. Highlight him. You know that Jerry's doing something like that in those conversations. They have those morning meetings. I do wonder if Steven and Jerry are on the same page with a lot of these things, and if that's another problem that McCarthy's having to deal with, is like, which one do I answer to? Like, I have the better relationship with this guy, but but that guy is the one that signs the checks at the end of the day. So, man, I think that Pollard just getting opportunities to be an explosive back, getting opportunities to create as a playmaker, that's good for your team whenever they're seeing that guy bust for 12, 15 yards. That's something that's a positive that gets them going. So the more often he does it, the more often you put him in opportunities to make those kinds of plays, the better it's going to be for the team overall, because they're going to get pumped, man. So, yeah, I think he needs to have it this year. then don't pay him.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I want to get back to that just one second. From the 682, okay, Kevin, I get your point, but when Zeke is in the game, we don't win those games either. I agree, but he's a bigger star.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that that's the way it works
21
here.
jerseys are for sale?
Yes, exactly. And I hate that that's where we are, but that's where we are. All right. Now, you just said something that I think a lot of Cowboys fans agree with at the very end, but I was taking a look at it. First 3 years, Tony Pollard has 317 carries, which is less than Zeke had as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, total. Is there any scenario in which, aside from he's like, I'll just take whatever contract offer you give me, is there any scenario in which Tony Pollard has a big season and you want to bring him back for like that requisite amount of money? Or are you like, we have learned, don't give the running back the second contract at bigger money?
I would say you should have learned that. Like, just go ahead and move on about your business and have a running back who can do everything. You know, you want guys that can do a lot of different things. Unless you're saying we're going to be a run first team and that's what we're going to be the Tennessee Titans,
which I would not anticipate. Really?
Yeah, I would say that this offense, that what Kellen Moore wants to do is be a little different when it comes to the ability to go out there and just be flexible with whatever the defense is throwing your way. But if you have the offensive line to say they're road graders, we're going out there, we're paving the way for them, and we're just gonna have a great running back. That's going to be our system. But I don't think that that's the way financially that's going to help you win Super Bowls. Not in this era.